There's a hidden order behind everything you see. Behind every sunrise, every heartbeat, every flicker of light in the night sky, there's a world that doesn't obey the rules we think it should. A world that defies cause and effect, where particles can be in two places at once, where the simple act of looking changes everything. This is quantum reality, the foundation of everything we are. And yet, it's a place that even the brightest minds fear to fully understand. Because beneath the equations and theories lies a truth about existence that challenges what it means to be real. Once, we thought the world was simple, built from solid matter. The Greeks said it was made of fire, air, earth, and water. Centuries later, we discovered the atom, indivisible, eternal, the building block of everything. But when we looked closer, that certainty crumbled. Inside the atom, we found a storm of smaller entities, protons, neutrons, electrons, and still deeper, quarks, neutrinos, and fields that shimmer across the void. And as our microscopes and minds sharpened, we realized something disturbing. The universe isn't made of things at all. It's made of possibilities. Before you observe them, particles don't exist in a single state. They exist as all possible versions of themselves, a blur of probabilities until you look. Only when you measure, when you observe, does the universe decide. This is the collapse of the wave function, a simple act that transforms pure potential into physical reality. It's as if the universe waits for someone to notice before it chooses what to become. Physicist Erwin Schrödinger imagined this unsettling truth through his now famous cat, trapped in a box, alive and dead at the same time. A thought experiment meant to expose the madness of this idea. And yet, decades later, experiments have shown that the logic holds. At the quantum scale, reality really does exist in superposition, many states at once, until something or someone watches. To see is to interfere. To measure is to create. The act of observation itself seems to give birth to reality. And that's what terrifies scientists, because if this is true, then the observer is no longer separate from the universe. We are part of the equation. The universe does not unfold independently of us. It unfolds with us. If that's the case, what is reality when no one is looking? Does the moon still exist if no eye ever sees it? Einstein once scoffed, "Do you really believe the moon isn't there when you aren't looking at it?" But quantum physics doesn't answer him. It just smiles and leaves the question hanging between the measurable and the mysterious. Everything, from the stars above to the atoms within your blood, is built on this strange foundation. Fields ripple through the vacuum. Energy becomes matter. Waves collapse into particles that dance through the void. And somewhere in that dance, we appear, conscious observers in a universe that may depend on being observed. It's beautiful, it's unsettling, and it's only the beginning. If you look deep enough into the heart of matter, you find that there is no solid ground. Every atom, every particle, every flicker of energy is a wave, rising and falling across a vast, unseen sea. A sea not of water, but of quantum fields. These fields fill all of space, endless, invisible, eternal. They vibrate, they fluctuate, they exist everywhere. What we call a particle is simply a local ripple, a tiny crest on this cosmic ocean. Electrons are waves in the electron field, photons in the electromagnetic field, quarks in their own shimmering pattern of vibration. You, me, the stars, all of it is this ocean, momentarily disturbed into form. Cut to animation of ripples colliding, creating light bursts. When these ripples meet, they interfere, building and canceling, weaving reality from waves. And here lies another mystery. At its most fundamental level, the universe behaves probabilistically. You cannot say where a particle is, only where it might be. You cannot say how it moves, only how it could move. Even the act of asking changes the answer. This is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, the rule that limits all knowledge. The more precisely we measure a particle's position, the less we know about its momentum. The more clearly we see one truth, the more another fades into fog. Seen, flickering between clarity and blur, particles appearing and vanishing. At first, this seemed like a flaw in our instruments, a temporary blindness we might one day fix. But it wasn't. It was reality itself, revealing that uncertainty isn't our weakness. It's the language of the universe. A cosmic indetermination, not chaos, but possibility. Scene shift, glowing threads connecting galaxies, neurons, and equations. What terrifies scientists is not randomness, but the realization that everything might be connected through this invisible web of uncertainty. That the electron orbiting an atom on Earth is tied through mathematics and mystery to the same rules that sculpt galaxies. That the vacuum between stars isn't empty, but alive, a restless field of energy constantly in flux. Even when you remove every particle, every atom, every photon, the void still seethes. Virtual particles burst into existence, collide and vanish again in a billionth of a trillionth of a second. This is quantum foam, the texture of nothingness. A chaos so dense with potential that it may be the true fabric of reality itself. From that vacuum, from that bubbling sea of uncertainty, emerged everything we know. The Big Bang itself, perhaps not a beginning, but a quantum fluctuation, a spark born from the restless energy of nothing. In that instant, probability became present. The wave became the world. And the laws that rule our cosmos, gravity, time, light, may have been written not in stone, but in chance. Scene fades. Einstein's photograph dissolves into quantum equations. Einstein could never accept it. He once said, "God does not play dice with the universe." But quantum physics whispered back, perhaps God not only plays dice, but throws them where you can't see. Even now, physicists debate what this truly means. Some say the randomness is only apparent, that hidden variables determine everything, too subtle for us to detect. Others believe there are no hidden rules at all, that at the smallest scales, the universe is pure chance. But there's a third possibility, one that's both elegant and deeply unsettling. That all possible outcomes do exist, in parallel realities. Seen, branching universe, infinite versions splitting off, shimmering like reflections. This is the many worlds interpretation. Every time a quantum event occurs, a particle chooses a path, a photon strikes a detector, the universe splits. One world where it went left, another where it went right, and countless others for every tiny decision, every measurement, every moment. In this view, there's no collapse at all. The wave never chooses, it expands. Reality, infinite and branching, spreads like a cosmic tree through dimensions we cannot see. Music swells, awe mixed with melancholy. If this is true, then there are worlds where you are reading these words, and others where you never existed. Worlds where stars never formed, where life began, then vanished, where the laws of physics themselves took a different turn. And yet, somehow, through this quantum storm, our consciousness experiences only one thread, one version of the infinite. The question that remains, why this one? Seen, abstract neurons firing like galaxies. Consciousness might not just observe the universe, it might select it. Each observation, each awareness, collapsing potential into a single perceived timeline. If that's true, then the boundary between mind and matter dissolves. The observer and the observed become one, and the universe itself could be the grandest experiment ever conducted. Soft emotional pause, music fades to a hum. We began with atoms, thinking we could master the physical world. Instead, the physical world has shown us that the very act of knowing changes what is known. We are participants, not passive spectators. And maybe, just maybe, we've been looking in the wrong direction. The mystery isn't only out there, it's also within us. Because whatever consciousness is, it obeys no law of physics we fully understand. We began our journey in the invisible, in the quantum haze beneath all things. We followed particles that dance in uncertainty, waves that become matter, and laws that bend beneath the weight of observation. But now we arrive at a question that humbles even the greatest minds. If observation changes reality, then what is the observer? Who or what is watching? Inside your skull, trillions of neurons fire in perfect chaos. Each pulse a flicker of electricity, a quantum event, small enough to be uncertain, yet vast enough to build thought itself. And out of that storm of signals emerges something neither particle nor wave: awareness. You, me, the silent witness behind the eyes. For decades, scientists have tried to understand consciousness, to find where in the physical world it begins. But the deeper they look, the stranger it becomes. No single cell or circuit explains the experience of being. No equation accounts for the feeling of existence. And yet, it's there, undeniable, the one thing each of us knows for certain. Perhaps, in some way, the universe becomes aware of itself through us. What if consciousness isn't an accident of biology, but a fundamental property of reality itself? A field, like electromagnetism or gravity, woven into the structure of space-time. Something that doesn't just observe the universe, but is the universe, experiencing itself from within. This idea is known as panpsychism, the notion that awareness exists at every scale, from atoms to galaxies. Not in the way we think or feel, but as a primitive spark, a proto-consciousness, waiting to combine and awaken in complex forms. If quantum physics tells us that observation creates reality, and consciousness is what observes, then perhaps mind and matter are two sides of the same coin, different expressions of the same universal truth. Every electron, every photon, every atom may carry the faintest whisper of awareness. Potential. Maybe that's why the quantum world behaves as it does. Maybe the act of measurement, the collapse of the wave function, is not a mechanical process, but a conscious one. Maybe the universe requires awareness to define itself. Because without something to perceive it, the cosmos would be an equation with no meaning, numbers without narrative. Still, this thought carries a shadow, a question both beautiful and terrifying. If consciousness shapes reality, what happens when we stop watching? When the last observer fades, does the universe remain? Or does it dissolve back into probability, a sleeping wave awaiting another awakening? Perhaps, in some way, the universe doesn't need us. Perhaps it is us. Every particle, every field, every moment of awareness, a reflection of a deeper unity. When you look at the stars, you're not gazing at something foreign. You're watching yourself, in another form, another scale, another time. Out of chaos came order. Out of probability came pattern. Out of energy came consciousness. And now consciousness looks back, at the source from which it came, and calls it the universe. That circle may never close completely, but understanding it brings us closer to meaning. Because to grasp quantum reality is to realize that the smallest things can hold the greatest truths. That the universe doesn't just exist, it knows it exists, through you. And maybe that's what scientists most. Not the uncertainty, not the equations, but the possibility that the universe is more than physical. That beneath all the math, beneath the fields and forces, lies something infinite, intimate, and aware. Something that doesn't just exist in the dark, but watches and waits.